Good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Grant Talks Funny Bits. Hopefully the tech is all working okay and you can hear me loud and clear. If you can hear me, say so in the comment section just so I know that everything is working well. As you guys know, every week there is always something. Normally it's me that's left myself on mute, or there's some technical issues, or it's the broadband, or it could be anything. Today's guest is an absolute legend within the hypnosis community, and he really delivers a fantastic corporate presentation, a brilliant, entertaining show. He is in the American Hall of Fame of Speakers. He is a corporate entertainer. He's a stage hypnosis, comedy entertainer, and a keynote speaker as well. This is your opportunity tonight to really ask questions and get information and find out what drives the successful hypnotist forward in their career. He has some funny stories for us. We shall pick his brains. We shall have a laugh. We shall have a chat. And this will probably be the last one before Christmas. So I'm going to play this graphic. And then on the other side of this, we shall be welcoming to the screen the hypnotist that is Wayne Lee. Please bang your keyboard, make some noise, say hello to the man, the myth, the legend that is Wayne Lee. And it's there. Oh, and I got the right side as well. Hi, Wayne. How are you?
Hey, great, Grant. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
First thing that I always ask, which is a strange question, it may sound weird, but which part of the world are you currently in?
I am in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So for those of you that are not familiar with Canada, it's a great place. And it is a little chilly right now, yet we're located on the western side of Canada. Edmonton is in the province of Alberta. Next to us would be British Columbia, Vancouver, Victoria, all those good places, but we're in the prairie province, as we say.
Brilliant, brilliant. It seems that Canada does bring out there's some quite well-known, very successful hypnotists that have come from Canada. So you guys must be doing something right. Maybe it's the cold weather that kind of draws you out.
That, and I say there's something in the water.
Yes, absolutely.
I got a funny story to tell you about the guys that are performing in Vegas. We're all from the same area, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can tell you about that now or later.
Well, we've got a couple of hellos. Jason Nobby Morgan says good evening, and Natasha Stanley says we're all good. They can hear us. So yeah. Before stage hypnosis, what were you doing, and what was the kind of what skill sets did you have before the stage?
Yeah, great question, Grant. I will tell you that one of my biggest influences in life was being in the sport or being involved in the sport and competing in amateur wrestling.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people might be going, are you talking WWF or no? The stuff you see in the Olympics. Yes. I was involved in that sport, and it really taught me about the power of the mind, more specifically the power of visualization, the power to heal myself with some of the various injuries that I have, but also the power to get the results that I did in international championships. Wow. So that also led me into the profession of teaching. I wanted to become a teacher. Didn't make the Olympics in wrestling. And I said, hey, I'd like to coach. I'd like to teach. So that got me into teaching. So I was a school teacher for a few years. I had a deep passion for teaching and coaching, just something in my blood. That was a great combination because before any of that, I loved entertaining. I loved magic. I loved, I was inspired at a very early age back in the 70s. Let you know how old I am. Yes, that there was a guy named Dale Harney in Edmonton who had one of the most syndicated broadcast shows about magic. And my dad and I would watch this, and I was just like astounded to see that magic, creating something out of nothing. So I had all those things driving me, didn't know how they were going to play out, but those were all big parts of my life in terms of inspirations. And then when I became a teacher, I realized it wasn't as I thought it was. Like in the school system, there was something missing. I love teaching, it just wasn't really right. And then I seen a hypnosis show. That's where everything changed. It was here in Edmonton, where I'll never forget. There was tons of hypnotists coming through the area. This one in particular really grabbed my attention. He inspired me so much, I was in disbelief. That night at the nightclub, if I can tell that story.
Yeah, of course you can.
Are you sure you want me to?
Yes.
So, a little bit of a hypnotic trick to create anticipation, right? So honestly, I was at this show, and I was there with my girlfriend at the time, and this guy was so incredibly persuasive and charismatic that I thought it wasn't real. It was the first thing I'd ever seen. Like, as you know, when you get introduced to any of the hypnotists, if you're watching this, you know, like you were inspired in some way, probably watching somebody.
Yeah.
And for me, these people were all like laid out all over the floor. They were turned into celebrities, and I'm still in disbelief. And my girlfriend is laughing and we're laughing. And it wasn't until he did this routine where he had everybody think they lost their belly buttons, where it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because not only was everybody up on stage looking for their belly buttons, I turned to look at my girlfriend because she wasn't laughing, and there she was looking for her belly button.
Wow.
So she got hypnotized right beside me, went out right in the audience, and my initial thought was like, holy cow, there's something real to this. Like, she came with me. She didn't get paid to be up there.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously I found out they didn't get paid to be up there either. And then that was the open door invitation to go, what's that all about?
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, there was no real internet of sorts of what we had today. So you didn't know who was doing it, but I had some great detective skills of finding out who was the best in the business, and studied Gil Boyne, studied the fellow that was up on stage. And I know you probably want to maybe know his name. So I'll tell you him. And it changed my whole life. It really did, because I started to do this on the side while I was teaching. First three volunteers that I hypnotized were 3 kids that I worked with at a group home. And I played it as like, relaxation is good for these kids. So my manager at the time said, yeah, you can do some relaxation. Well, that led into some routines where I was turning one of the kids into Michael Jackson. And I'd never seen a kid do a Michael Jackson impression better than that. In fact, I'd never seen an adult do a better impression. So I said, this stuff works.
Yeah.
And so that was the journey of me getting into hypnosis, where because of my teaching background, my entertainment, and because of my wrestling, it was what I call the 3 E's. Yeah. Entertain, educate, and empower. So it's always guided me into how I used hypnosis as a tool to deliver it to the masses.
Yeah. I must admit, there's a lot of people that you see coming forward into hypnosis stage, especially now. And those that all seem to do well, the successful ones at it, all kind of have those foundations in entertainment, education, you know, to have those things there that are skills that do transfer to this stage as well. So yes. Yeah, when you talk about the wrestling, I mean, I was brought up probably around a similar time to you.
Yeah.
And British wrestling is very much what that wrestling was. Yeah. And I remember as a teenager seeing American wrestling, and my mind was blown. And I think that was the death of wrestling as a sport in the UK. But yeah, moving on a little bit, we just got a couple of those. Brian Glenn says, hypnotists rock. Brian Glenn is a former stage hypnotist here in the UK that runs a very big hypnotherapy training school here now as well. Alan Wonder says, hi, guys. And Stephen Heath, the legend. Stephen Heath is a singer over here in the UK who has the best beard in the world. Stephen Hayes says, you're looking sweet. So, curious to know who the hypnotist was that inspired you. I saw my first stage hypnotist at a holiday park when I was, I think I was probably 9 or 10 years old, to see an entertainment hypnotist. And I've spent most of my working career now trying to track down who that was, because that was my mum was into hypnotherapy, and that's where an introduction came there. But to try and find that stage hypnotist, I would love to, because they inspired much more in me than the hypnotherapy.
Yeah, I'll tell you who that is, Grant. Paying homage to him is a really exciting thing, because I think that sometimes as artists we tend to forget, or we can not mention where we learned this from, and to realize that we can all learn these things, and usually there's somebody that we're standing on their shoulders to get to where we are. Yeah. So that person is a fellow that's no longer with us. His name was Jack Laughlin. Laughlin is his name, and I'll say it again, Laughlin. And if you do the research on him, there's really not a lot of video out there, but he was regarded, like in Canada and then into the States, because he was from the States, as someone that was just very powerful. Like the stuff he was doing integrated the music, integrated the routines. And he said to me at one time, when he said, you know what's more powerful than sex and chocolate? And he said, music. Like he just knew his stuff, where he was a showman. He had the psychology behind him. And he also had some challenges in his life. Like he'd be doing the nightclub circuit, and he was challenged with drinking. And So didn't mean he was perfect in all his, but you could take what he was, like his zone of genius, and that's what I focused in on. And my goodness, the guy was brilliant in that. And I think for the first few years, for sure, maybe even more, I was a wannabe Jack Lachlan.
Yeah.
And I say that because anybody that's watching this that's a hypnotist, you do not have to recreate the wheel. In fact, a lot of people overplay this and they want to do something so creative and they don't even have the foundational skills.
Yeah.
So you got to model somebody that's done it, doing it real well. It doesn't mean you have to copy verbatim. I would not encourage you to do that. I would encourage you to take the fundamentals and play off that until you get so very good at what you do that then it becomes yours, and then you realize who you are as a performer, as a person, and then you share that with everybody on a large scale.
Yeah, and that, like guys watching this, that there is an absolutely stellar piece of advice. I think, especially with the forums on Facebook and wherever else, in YouTube and everywhere at the moment, there's a big push for stage hypnotists to create original content. I think new stage hypnotists, like you said, need to build their foundations first, polish their act, and then create new content. I've seen some hypnotists that have rushed to create new stuff to the sacrifice of a funny show. And so, yeah, I mean, I believe you get it right first, and then you make it your own. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd like to. That's an amazing and wonderful and precise way of saying it, Grant. I'd like to actually bounce off of that as well.
Yeah.
So I really think that, you know, when people study comedy, if we get into this and we study comedy, it's not about creating content. It's about knowing the fundamentals of what makes people laugh.
Yeah.
And then you can fit in anything and you become more creative. So you can study some great comedy or comics and take a course in it, and that will be so much better than just trying to do routines.
Yes.
The routines are great, but you can just put those things in their place, and you become more creative because then you realize, oh, it's fitting into a formula.
Yeah, yeah. And I also find with stage shows, comedy shows, most of the laughs, the real comedy comes from the bits in between the routines. It's that stuff that holds it together. It's not this guy's doing the voodoo monkey or this guy's doing the belly button routine. It's not the routine that makes it funny. It's how that's set up and the build up to it that makes it funny. And and the delivery and everything else. So yeah, absolutely.
In between spaces, for sure.
Oh yes. One of the things that you do that I absolutely love is you make comedy stage hypnosis work in a corporate professional environment. And in the UK especially, we are tarred as being a silly act rather than a serious act. And hypnosis, in whatever form, therapy or for demonstrations or performance, is a very profound thing. And I think you deliver it in such a great way.
Thank you.
Did you come from the comedy stage, or was this a conscious effort to move it that way, or how did that happen?
Yes, it definitely was a conscious effort, and it took lots of practice and lots of refining and lots of learning what didn't work, what I was saying on stage. And because we're kind of held in a stereotype of comedy. Oh, you do the comedy shows. That it was my onus to make it so damn good that people took me seriously, because we could be stereotyped. So I think it's the onus that if anybody's watching this, it's not the corporate market that needs to say, like, if you come from a place of entitlement, like, I've got something good to say, so you've got to prove it. You got to refine your skills. You got to take that messaging down. And more importantly, in the corporate market, you have to come from a place of, okay, funny's great because it's the best way to learn. So it's one of the components of writing your own ticket. The other component is knowing what these corporate people are going through, their problem, and how do you solve that problem with what you do. Not hypnosis. It's a vehicle to mind blow people, to show how hypnosis is what we do every day in how we think, those non-critical acceptance of ideas that were borrowed beliefs from our childhood. How do you get people to awaken to that and realize that is hypnosis? And how they change it is through becoming a hypnotist themselves in a better way, so they can program themselves. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, I've been so passionate about doing that because there's so many misconceptions about it. So that's my deep love of educating and then going out there and having an idea, but then going out there with the stage time and just doing it. I mean, there's people that to this day, they've thought about how their stage show is going to go and they still haven't stepped on stage. So they got to start doing it. They got to start figuring out and listening to what those people want. And more importantly, developing the skills to express and to deliver a great message that is of value to what their problem is.
Yeah.
To solve.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Especially with stage hypnosis, there's a big movement of, it's egocentric to the hypnotist themselves. How can I be funny? How can I make these people laugh? And that will get me more bookings. And the reality is clients aren't interested in people laughing. They're interested in either, saving them money, making them money, or bums on seats that's going to generate money. So yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, when you understand that, it's a game changer. So it's too many hypnotists are thinking about, look at me, this is how I look. Yeah. It's about what's in it for them. I know that's a very trite thing, but think about it even at a deeper level of like, what problem are they having that I can actually solve? Yeah. And sometimes it's just, they've got to plan an event, and last year's last year's entertainment really was terrible. Yeah. So you're solving a problem and don't devalue entertainment. It's a high level thing. I mean, entertainers are the highest paid people in the world. So anybody that says, oh, entertainers don't make much money, like that belief can be blown away. Yet if it's a corporate event and they're coming and their problem is that, hey, those salespeople are having a really tough time making their sales quotas. Yeah. And I can identify that, a lot of those people have some beliefs that are the number one reason, because they've got all the strategies in the world, but they need to change this up here. They're going to lean in and say, well, how do you do that, Wayne?
Yeah. And what better way to do it than by delivering a stage hypnosis show? And again, what I like about the way you do it is it would be so easy. And I always say this about hypnotherapists that are breaking into stage hypnosis or performance hypnosis. It'd be very easy to do a hypnotherapy demonstration, which I don't think has the same impact as a stage show. The way that you deliver it is exactly that right space. It comes across like a motivational keynote, but with all the drama from a stage hypnosis show as well. It's dramatic and profound, not just silly, if you know what I mean. So it's like the funny is a byproduct.
And it's, and thank you so very much. And I really appreciate you appreciating what I have to offer. It's taken years to get to that point because there's so much fine tuning of the balance that I say is that the funny, the fascinating, blending it into a message and having 90 minutes or 60 minutes to do it. That's the challenge is doing it in a way where people leave. And the one thing I've always wanted people to do is come up to me and say, that was great entertainment, Wayne, but the message was beyond I ever expected. Yeah. And now that started to happen, I was having my best year ever, hit the most amount of sales in closing events, getting into the States on the big stages, making worldwide presence. And guess what? The next month, COVID hit. Yeah. So I don't know how much you want to go into it on this call, but I'll tell you how I pivoted and how it's going to be the best year ever.
Yeah. Good.
But maybe that's for another one. I don't know. Maybe you want to.
We'll definitely talk about that pivot. I mean, we'll come back to that. But yeah, it's amazing how COVID really kind of cut through the whole entertainment career and everything. One of the things that I find quite interesting is, as a stage hypnotist, anything can happen on stage, and on most stages that can be forgiven. On a corporate stage, I can imagine that has an even bigger reaction if somebody does something out of the norm on a corporate keynote presentation. Yeah. So I can imagine you've got a couple of good stories about that.
Yeah, well, I would love to start with a story that happened to me at a fundraising event where it was for all ages, which is like a corporate. I think when I got into the corporate, I knew well enough to really, really be conscious of keeping things really clean, and also I'd done enough shows, I had enough under my belt where I was going, corporations were paying me good enough money where I had to make sure that stuff didn't happen. Does that make sense? So, but before that, there was a fundraiser that I did. It was about 15 years ago, a place called Merritt, BC. And this will give you an indication of how powerful our words are. I was doing this fundraising activity. It was for an organization. I forget even which one it was. And there was this lady that came up on stage. There was 300-400 people in the audience, smaller town, so they don't get entertainment a whole lot. So there were lots of people came up. and I had a lot of people on stage, and a lady named Jenny, she was about 60, 65 years old. She came up and she was like, "Could I get hypnotized, Wayne?" She didn't talk exactly like that. I said, "For sure." And little did I know that Jenny was a natural. She was one that just went out like that. And man, did she get hypnotized. I have a routine that anytime I play the word or the song Rockin' Robin, they will be triggered to get up and dance as if they're a bird, Rockin' Robin. It's usually like very funny, and gets a great laugh, and it's got great music, and it's usually with somebody a little bit older, middle age, so it's gonna work perfect. But I gave her that suggestion, and this is back 15 years ago, so I've since refined the suggestion. But I went to the other side of the stage, and I got her to wake up, and I said, "Jenny, are you gonna dance up here?" And she goes, "No." And I said, "Well," I played the music, and she got up, and she did a wingspan. And just as she did a wingspan, I realized that she wasn't actually dancing. And I saw her lean forward, and it was too late. And I just did a face palm, and she actually went down into the stage and hit herself face first into the stage. So yeah, I can see your face right now. That's what I felt too. I was absolutely in a state of shock and hopeless because I couldn't run over and talk, and I never ever wanted anybody to get hurt, obviously.
Yeah.
And that surprised me drastically. So you can hear a pin drop. I ran over, and as I go to approach her, she turns over and goes, "I'm okay." Still in a daze. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Because I could always, imagine what everybody else is thinking, like the hypnotist is going to get sued.
Yeah.
And I thought that. So I got her up. We had a laugh. We made some lightness over everything. But it was one of the times where I was just absolutely shocked by the power of words, of how somebody can literally take those words and interpret that. And so it just even gave me a greater appreciation of taking care of people, and also the words that we use in everyday language. It's powerful. So that was a funny but a scary story.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have time for one more of one of the funniest ones.
Go on.
So back in the day when I used to do more nightclubs and it was more risque material, I don't do that stuff anymore. I mean, in the corporate market and my whole brand is different. But I was having fun, and there was a fair in Edmonton called K-Days. It was a pretty big fair. They used to get me to do the main stage for the families, and then they said, "Could you do an adult show for us?" And I was like, "For sure." So I do an adult show, and it was more on the adult side. And there was one suggestion I would give a fellow. And one night I gave this suggestion. He's a young guy, good-looking guy, young strapping guy. And I gave him a suggestion that anytime he heard the word disease, and this was right from Laughlin's textbook. I remember Laughlin doing this. This was back in the day where STDs were VD, venereal diseases. So, I don't know if it's the same terminology, but I said, anytime you hear the word disease, you'll stand up and say, "Oh my God, I've got VD, I've got VD." So it was hilarious at the time.
Yeah.
But there was a trigger for whoever was hearing this. There would be a gal that I'd make a nurse, and she would stand up and she'd go, "I'm a nurse, I can help, I can help." So and I gave her a suggestion that, I'm going to wake you up. Everything's going to be removed. You will, just stop in your tracks. And obviously you don't even have to give that suggestion, but it was all set. So she was going to wake up in the midst. And that was the funny part. It's like, oh my goodness, like here's him going here. She's going for the pants. So as it went, I gave the suggestion, who's got a disease? And he stands up, he goes, "Oh my God, I've got VD." And then the nurse stands up and she goes, I can help, I can help. And she goes to take his pants off and she starts to unbutton them. Now, I think she was in a self-hysterical mode of hypnosis. When I said, wake up, she kept going and she ripped his pants down. Now, the punchline, Grant, is this. He did not have underwear on.
Oh.
And this guy was not a small guy.
Oh, that's not too bad then. I mean, if he was with a small guy on a cold night, then
I had to get embarrassed. It was the most awkward thing because I had to kind of push him aside. And here's this, well, you can imagine. And she's over here, and it's like she doesn't want to stop. And the funniest thing is this. The funniest thing is this. at the end of the night, like you got to realize, like all these adults are in there, but there's a lot of older people that are older, older in the sense of middle age. And these two ladies came up to me, and this is back in the day where we used to videotape everything, VHS, and we'd sell them at the end of the show. And it was 10 nights that I would do this particular show. And these ladies that just happened to be there the night before, older ladies, came up to me, very, very polite, and they waited in line, and they said, Wayne, could we trade in our VHS tape from last night for tonight? And I'll never forget that moment. So, the stories that we have, and that's just one of them. I mean, I've been blessed to meet some amazing people and create great memories throughout those years, and I'll never forget it. I mean, it's just lots of fun.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about how you pivoted. Talk to us about that.
Sure. So during COVID, it gave me a chance to ask the question, what next?
Yeah.
I know my wife and we ended up doing a lot of Netflix, a lot of wine, like I'm sure other people did. We did the Great Pause. But there was a couple things that I did. I went running every day in the ravine here that we live. And I'm a big believer in that when you move your body, you activate that energy source. And it's one of the greatest ways to change your state. I mean, we talk about hypnosis changing your state. Well, moving your body is hypnosis for the body in mind connection. Great little saying is that it's easier for you to act your way into good thinking than think your way into good acting. People overthink themselves, and there's so much in their heads. So you got to move your body and have that state. So anyhow, I was doing that every day, and some great ideas came to me. Kind of the past 25 years of refining what I did, and I really wanted to reach out and just do something, because all the events were down and out. So I ended up going online on my Facebook page and just doing these Wake Up with Waynes.
Yeah.
And I was basically doing like hypnosis, but it turned into what I've done for 25 years, and it turned into what I call a subconscious reset. So I created my own unique branding and my own proprietary way of actually reaching the subconscious in a very quick way. And then that led into us hiring somebody that could teach us how to go online more, how to replicate, duplicate, and really play a bigger game despite my whole income shut down, because that was my business model.
Yeah.
And we had a great vision to do this in terms of like seeing how we could do a challenge. And I just finished my first 21-day challenge, which is called the 21-Day Subconscious Reset Challenge. And so I really pivoted from entertainment to keynote speaker, using the mechanism of hypnosis, to coaching now. And my new brand is called the Transform Coach. Trance is TRANCE -FORM. And so it's waking people up of the trance that they're living in that are stopping them from achieving health, wealth, and happiness, primarily for entrepreneurs and thought leaders. And it's been explosive. It's been amazing because it's done one thing for my business that I didn't have before. And the one thing is scale.
Yeah.
We had 121 people.
Brenda Casey as well. She says it's been an amazing challenge.
Oh yeah, but I hypnotized Brenda to say that.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Grant? I hypnotized Brenda to say that. Brenda's been awesome. It was so great to have Brenda on the challenge, because she can appreciate all the things that I'm doing, as well as she loves to get hypnotized. Yeah. So it was wonderful to have that mix, and knowing that, she's on this. She can really, see some of the underlying things that I'm doing, that the general public, I actually have to do another course. Yeah. See, she even says she's under my spell. Yeah. Brenda, good to see you. Yeah. But yeah, that now has allowed me to then offer my coaching services, my group coaching services, and the next 21-day challenge. And I just see, I don't see it. We have it planned for the next year that we're going to reach so many people, because everybody's going online now. Yeah.
It's the one thing that made me kind of, I stayed away from video and being online, and COVID has forced me to do that as well. And it's something that I won't be, it's changed my business, my life. And it's, I'm a big fan of streaming. I'm a big fan of video now more than ever before. We have got a very short clip of your, from the start of one of your shows. It's the 3-word, is it try but can't?
Yeah, try, can, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm just going to show that because I just think it's a great presentation.
Awesome.
And these 3 words, before you even get out of the starting gate, they may be impeding you, or they may be stopping you from actually achieving your goal. And those 3 words are try, can't, and but. And I use them strategically up here as a hypnotist. Well, I'll say the more you try to unlock your hands, the more you can't. They're crazy glue, they're stuck. Can't really means it's not possible. Try means that you're lying or it implies failure. And but is just a big old excuse. So when you use those words and you catch yourself using those words, take them out of your vocabulary when it comes to your goals. And as a hypnotist, that is the secret by why they couldn't get their hands apart. Sure, they relaxed their mind, they tapped into their subconscious, but those words were weapons, so they couldn't do those things. So now you're about to see how powerful our imagination is in acting as if we want to become the thing that we already want in terms of that goal. If we take on that persona that we believe as though not only we can do it, but we've already done it, nothing will stop us.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's such a great message as well that, unfortunately, a lot of people, when they look at hypnotists as being a silly show, they miss that kind of the importance of that kind of message. So I think what you do is absolutely brilliant. Yeah. So what is next? I mean, you've got your coaching, your mentoring, and everything else like that. Are you seeing inquiries coming in for the entertainment, for the show side of things yet? I know I've had a couple come in, but they're not firmed up yet.
I as we were watching that clip, I just seen an e-transfer coming in. That was for an event that I'm doing tomorrow. And I'll tell you how I now approach things is that I really didn't have a pull to do virtual events as entertainment. It just didn't work for me. I need to be there. I need to be in the mix. So I trusted my gut on that. But what I now do is I will do these virtual, like even at Christmas, and I know that and I make it very clear that I'm not going to be hypnotizing. I'm not going to be, I need people to do that there. I basically tell a lot of stories about my hypnosis shows and what people learn. And in a way, they're very entertaining. They're very much about getting people to laugh in a light way, where at the end, it's very inspirational. So I've changed it. I've definitely changed, being able to pivot so I can still perform in ways to these groups. But I've really reinvented myself. I've really taken everything that I've done over the last 25 years. And because it's happened, it has forced me to become more of who I am in a larger scale. But as far as those events, I really don't know when the events are coming back. Yeah. And I don't know what else to say other than it's really a virtual and an online game at the moment. So it's like asking the question, what can you do that really serves the people on the other side watching?
Yeah. One of the things I always ask kind of guests that are on the show, but kind of the influence that TikTok and YouTube is going to have on the future of stage hypnosis. Yeah,
in terms of what is that for, my view on it, Grant?
Yeah.
I think that it's inevitable, because of visibility. So I want people to get real clear on the fact that everything is a stage. So if I'm on a stage physically and there's a platform, that's a stage.
Yeah.
But right now, you watching me, this is a stage.
Yeah.
However you cut it, everything is a stage in terms of you being able to be a podcast, an interview. And if you look at it like that, then you're not compartmentalizing like this and that. And you look at YouTube is a stage, and it's a big stage because it is not a social media platform. It's a search engine.
Yeah.
It's there to stay. And if you can put great stuff out there, like now what I'm doing is I'm taking all my clips. We haven't even done it yet. I mean, that's why this is going to explode in 2021. And I'm going to dial in on all those messages and be of greater value to do some front end and back end loading and get it out to what people are searching for. So the stage that you want to be dialing in on is right here.
Yeah.
We don't know when the live stuff is coming back. And I've seen people do some incredibly great stuff online that blew my mind virtually, that I attended their event in terms of a information event, which I think they did an amazing job, and the capabilities. The challenge with hypnosis is just that challenge, is that how do you hypnotize somebody and there's always a way. I don't know if anybody's been able to show a great delivery method yet, if that makes sense.
Weirdly, with stage hypnosis, for me, I'm a big believer in stage hypnosis is one of the best forms of entertainment on a stage. I don't think it translates well on television. And I don't think it translates well over Zoom or virtually. I know some guys that are doing it and that's fine and they're doing great with it. But for me, I, like you said, I need to see the audience, their reactions, the volunteers' reactions. For me, performance hypnosis needs to be a physical event. So yeah. So,
I'm with you on that. But I'm also open to see somebody say, hey, this is what I figured out. I would love to see that. You know, I'd love to, I'm open. I'm not against that. I just know for me, I trust my gut that I shifted in a way where I never did see myself as the coach, like doing a lot of that. And now that's what I see. And everything else is a support mechanism and the skill sets that will help me even be more effective at doing that.
Brilliant. And again, people can get information about your coaching service and your mentoring services on your website?
Yes, on the website. And there's also that a lot of people are right now, they're very much into going on to the challenge. I can share the link with you if that's cool.
Yes.
Okay, so let me just get to the link here. So the link is actually waynelee.com.
Yep.
/
Yep.
21 and then -day -challenge. I know it's a little bit long, yet I'm ingraining it into your minds right now.
It should be on the screen. Oh, it's kind of on the screen-ish.
Yeah.
It's a bit long, is that one?
Yeah, no, it is a little bit long, but that's it. Yeah, and we haven't even released it yet. Our next challenge date, Brenda knows this because we're just closing out the last challenge, but we will be releasing. You're actually the first to know. January 11th, we start our next challenge, and it's 21 days of phenomenal results, transformations, where there's videos posted up of in 21 days how one lady actually, business sales professional, went from $250,000 of closing her sales, and she took it to $750,000 in this 21 days. Now, some people on this call may be thinking, or on this watching, might say, well, is that, how did that happen? Well, it's because of a shift in the mind to let greater possibilities in, but not only that, to really get clear about what your end game is. Yeah. And I've created a new term on, when people have an end game, it's more solidified of what that is. But then there's this process called the mental end game activation method that helps them get there faster.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I always ask guests for 2 book recommendations. This could either be a business book that has influenced or kind of guided you along your way, or a stage hypnosis or hypnosis book in general. What would your top 2 be?
Can I grab those books right now?
Of course you can.
Give me a second. Actually, give me 2 seconds.
2 seconds. I'll talk amongst myself. I want to say to people as well that are watching this, even if you're watching it on the replay, if you type in the comment section #21-day challenge, then Wayne will be able to find out where you are and then send you details for that. So yeah, in the comment section, if you put #21-day challenge, Wayne will know you're interested in that 21-day challenge as well.
You betcha. And thanks for giving me the time, Grant, to share my goodies. And first book is a gem. I don't know if you've ever heard of Neville Goddard. Back in the 60s, I think it was the 60s, he used to go, and a lot of Christian background, yet his teachings are universal. Yeah. And he came up with many books, but one is called Feeling is the Secret.
Nice.
It was a really, really big influence in me forming my mental endgame activation method. It was a game changer. I did it years ago. It influenced me, and I just took it to the next level. And so a big part of why it works is because of the feeling. And a lot of people talk about the law of attraction, and it's got a bad name because of, you just think and it's going to happen. No, it's about being in such alignment, and you're so tuned in and tapped into your flow that you are acting a lot. Yeah. And it's easier though, because you're not fighting yourself. So that's why I'm also going to give credit to Abraham and Hicks, the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Whether you believe in the channeling or not, you cannot dispute the fact that Esther Hicks is so profound in her preciseness in terms of what that is all about. And I got so much. I mean, I remember seeing them years ago, and it really brought out something in me. So those are two real powerful books that I recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it's weird. The law of attraction kind of got, the message got lost along the way somewhere. But yeah, it really is such a powerful tool when you take action as well with that. Well, like you said, it's about aligning you to make that action traction. Yeah.
I think this is one way to actually get people to think about it, is there's so many people doing, do, you know what that is. So it's like, if you don't have the right mental focus and capacity, you will just keep doing and getting frustrated because you're not locked into here. So I like to say, stop the grind and get aligned.
Yeah. And
that's so true. And then once you get aligned, then you grind, then you start going forward fast, because it's a lot easier, because you're in hyper productive mode.
Yeah. Yeah. Brenda says she noticed so much of Abraham Hicks' teachings in your challenge. Loved it.
Yeah, it's very influential in who I am today.
Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. If you were to give one tip to a budding hypnotherapist that's looking at getting into performance hypnosis or getting on that stage, doing a keynote, a corporate presentation, what would that tip, what would that bit of information be?
There's two bits of information, Grant. First of all, it's study somebody that's done it. Just start studying that person or those people, and you'll just start to seep that stuff and reach out to them, ask them questions. Usually these people that are highly successful, it doesn't mean they're all going to get in the phone with you, but they're pretty generous people. That's my experience. And the next thing is start doing it in your home with little parties. Don't go on a big stage and just, do it then. It's all about stage time.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. And I think when you said there about like the big stages, again, it's important to kind of know where you're at as well. Do those smaller shows, get your stage time in, get your craft honed before you go for a massive stage and a big presentation. Wayne, it's been an absolute pleasure. What was the dates for the 21-day challenge again?
January 11th, 21-day challenge. It's so easy to get on because we only do, like, no matter where you are in the world, you can come to the 9 o'clock in the morning that I do a 10-minute, that's it. And then you can play at any time. You don't even have to be on the live, and you can always tune into it. And so many great results already. Brilliant.
Fantastic. I'll look forward to that. I'll make sure that we get a link to that put up in the comment section and shared out as well. And thank you very much for joining us. What time do you have it now over there?
It is 1:45.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I need to get home and have my supper now. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. I'll make sure there's a link to your website and everything on there, and take care and good luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you very much, Grant, and all the best to everyone that is watching this.
Cheers.